What we do here is go back.
I'm so glad I have a mic. How are you, beautiful people? Right on. I love these, by the way. I love to talk about myself. What I'd like to tell you guys is that you guys can ask me anything that you want. Try to embarrass me, I dare you. Bring it. I'm absolutely shameless. Hi. So yeah, if there's something that you guys ask that I don't want to answer, I'll be like, nah, I'm not gonna touch that. But otherwise, yeah, do your worst.
Okay, we've got one question here. Your name?
My name is Maggie. Hi, James. I'm not going to try to embarrass you. I know I failed to attempt that. I'm actually curious what it was like to reunite with your Buffy castmates when you guys did the Entertainment Weekly photo shoot.
That was awesome. It was I think 20 years after we did the show, and we did a bunch of photographs for Entertainment Weekly magazine. I was used to hanging out with the cast when we were all like so tired we were about to fall asleep at any given moment. Buffy was known around Los Angeles as Buffy the Weekend Slayer. Like most shows, film for 12 hours and then they cut it off like a knife, because after 12 hours you have to pay the crew double. So most shows are like not 1 minute after 12 hours. But Buffy was kind of a hit and they let Joss do pretty much whatever he wanted to. So we worked 12 to 20 hours. Like a normal day was an 18-hour day. Like when I hear people work 8 hours, I'm like, so we were tired. And we used to play a game on the set, which was, quick, what did we film this morning? Because your short-term memory just evaporates and it's gone. Like a lot of time, and that's true with a lot of actors. If you guys hear a lot of actors, you ask them a specific question about a specific scene, and they go, I don't remember that. It's not because they didn't care, it's because they were tired when they did it. So we got to hang out when we were not tired, and it was awesome. It was like I was like, wow, you're so interesting. Like you have good thoughts. I had no idea. You were always like this. Wow. Yeah, it was really cool. The big takeaway for me that day was seeing Joss Whedon again, with the expectation that Joss would have grown an ego by now. Because the Avengers and all of that, and I thought he'd be coming in with a big signal. Hello, how are you? And he was the same dude. He was racked by self-doubt, just to this day, and it was so cute. And I was like, you're awesome. Yeah, it was a good time.
Okay, we got another question over here. Your name, sir?
Hi, I'm Steve from Pennsylvania. I've seen videos of you and your wife doing music. So what would it take for the two of you to do a concert together? Because I really like her material.
Thank you. You'd have to talk her into it, probably. She's a little controlling. So I don't know if she wants me to help with her music. Like I want her to record actually. And I have a lot of friends in the business. I keep saying, that would be a good producer for you. That would be a good producer for you. And she keeps saying, I want to do it myself. So I don't know. She's quite talented, and she's got her own path, I guess. Yeah.
Another question in the front here. Your name?
Natalie. Hi, James.
Hey, Natalie.
Can you tell me your favorite time when you were on Smallville? What was your either maybe favorite scene that you did, or any fond memories of working on Smallville as Brainiac?
Yeah, the whole time was a good time. I went up to Smallville, kind of thinking that, that cast is so pretty. Like, oh my God. Like, I thought they would, I'm like a scrounchy punk rocker, and when we see people that are perfectly pretty, we're like, oh, they gotta be horrible, you know? And so I went up there thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to deal with these kind of people. And I get up there, and they're all the nicest people in the world. And they're all completely down to earth, and they're not egotistic at all. And I'm like, that's not even fair. Like, I'm supposed to be nicer than you. That's what I have, you know? But no, I had a really good time. One thing that was not fun about Smallville was that Tom Welling is like that big. And like, people think that I'm taller than I am, because Sarah Gellar, Buffy, on Buffy was like that tall. So they made all the sets to try to make her look taller, which meant that guys like me, we looked like 6'5". And so I think they hired me on Smallville with the expectation that I would be a little bigger than I was. And so when me and Superman are walking together in the show, they have built like a Miss America ramp out of apple boxes. And I'm trying to look all nonchalant, like, hey, Clark, what's up? No problem. But I'm always falling off the apple boxes. And I remember coming onto the set, and one of the crew members goes, oh God, it's Brainiac, here we go. But yeah, I think as far as acting, the really cool thing was that they told me what the whole season plan was when I came on, because I was planning all of that in my head, and it was important that the character know what the plan is. But Tom Welling is really smart. He's actually a really smart human being. He told the producers early on, don't tell me things that Clark doesn't know, because then I just have to act ignorant, and it's just another layer. I would much rather just be in the shoes of Clark, finding out what's happening week to week. So he actually thought we were going to be friends. Like, he didn't know that Milton Fine, my character, was actually Brainiac who was going to try to kill him. He just thought I was some cool professor. And I'm like, we're in his barn, and we're up on the second floor staring at the moon, and I'm like, Clark, you have to forgive yourself, and you have to forgive those around you. That's the secret of happiness. And I'm giving all this great, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna kill you, boy. And he's like eating out of the palm of my hand. I felt very much like the character. That was good.
Yeah. Another question in the front. Your name?
Irene. Hi, James.
Hey, Irene.
First of all, you should consider stand-up comedy because you're killing it. Okay. Secondly, I'd like to say, if your favorite director in 2 minutes gave you a call to offer you your dream job, who's calling you and what would it be?
Joss Whedon.
And what would you be doing?
Anything.
I think Nathan Fillion said the same thing.
Yeah. Like, I'm used to, frankly, at this point, I'm used to directors kind of just leaving me alone. And it's true, like, 80% of good directing is casting. So the best directors, I find, take a long time to cast. And then once they do, they've cast the person that they need, and they just let that person go. And if you cast really well, you don't need to give a lot of direction. So I'm kind of spoiled. Frankly, I'm used to directors going, do your thing, man. That's good, you know. Joss, however, and it took me a while to get used to it, is not like that at all. He's like, that was good, however, and he'll give you like 50,000 notes. And like, initially I was like, dude, like, back off, man. I'm James Marsters. And I was offended, but then I saw the scenes that he directed, and that son of a gun was right. His idea was better than mine, and that was really hard to kind of get comfortable with, but he's right. He's just a fabulous director. He's very controlling, but he's very good.
Hi, James.
Okay, and just like, wave maniacally, so I know, okay, hi, no. Who's got the mic?
Oh, sorry, we got a question over here, James.
Because you're always here for me. So just, thank you.
Hi, my name's Brianna.
Brianna.
So Buffy was progressive, but not just because of the strong female characters in lead roles, but also because the show dealt with a lot of serious social issues. So when you look back at the show, sort of with your 2018 lens, is there anything that you look at and you think, wow, we really nailed that, or I wish there was something we would have done differently in this particular instance?
I don't have any things that I think that I could have done better at all. The two proudest moments for me was when Tara and Willow kissed. Like, I'm a Star Trek fan, I'm like an OG Star Trek fan, and like, we will always have the first interracial kiss on television. And if you ask a Star Trek fan what the proudest thing is, it's the Uhura Kirk kiss, right? And I remember when I saw the script for that, I was like, we got our kid! And then the other one was right after, like in the States, we had this big problem where we shoot each other too much. And like right after, there was a thing called Columbine. It was a high school where kids came in and shot up the school. And it was an absolutely horrible, horrifying thing that happens all the time down south, and it's horrible. So, the week after Columbine, the next Buffy that was coming out had a student with a high-powered rifle in a bell tower about to unleash, and Buffy goes up there and asks him, why are you doing that? And they talk about it. And it was so soon after the event that I think the network got scared and they pulled the episode. But I was like, why would you pull that? Like, that's exactly what we need to be talking about. Why are you doing this? And I thought it would have been amazing if they had left it on. But it was one of those moments where the show, if you're brave enough and the timing is right, you can be right in the middle of things. And Buffy was always a very brave, very honest show. I mean, the secret of the writing of Buffy is that Joss was asking his writers to come up with their worst day, the day that haunts them, the day that they don't talk about, the day that they were humiliated, or the day that they hurt someone that they regret. And then slap fangs on top of that dirty secret and tell the whole world. And these writers would come to the set and they would be like, hi. Like, I hope you don't really realize what I'm actually saying because it's too embarrassing. I don't talk about that day, but I wrote about it. And so it was sustained bravery and vulnerability from the writing crew. And I think that's why Buffy resonates. It's not a bunch of like grown-ups telling teenagers how to feel about going through high school. It's just grown-ups going, when I was in high school, this sucked. Pretty bad. Like, you too? You know? And I'm not sure what the event was that brought up that script, but one of the writers probably went through a situation like that, for real. And so, yeah, that was it.
Another question to your left here, James. Your name, sir?
Hi, James. My name is Adrian.
Hi.
Hi. Hey. Quick question. Given the popularity of your character Spike, would you have continued him in an extra series, or would have preferred to continue him on Angel?
Oh yeah, man, I would have played Spike till the cows come home, man. Like that was a great role. Yeah, I mean, like, I once went to Joss and I was like, you know, I think maybe Spike is a better role than Hamlet. Because, like, Shakespeare is a better writer than you are, Joss. Just admit it. However, Shakespeare only had 3 hours to explore the character of Hamlet. And we're doing Spike for, like, 7 years. And we're just getting in there, man. We're getting, like, way deep into that character. So, yeah, because Joss never stopped exploring. He never plays it safe. Like, a lot of shows, once you do the pilot and once you do a couple episodes, you know exactly what you're going to be doing because basically it's the same thing over and over and over again, but a different situation. But they don't really stray too far from the formula. But with Joss Whedon, man, you have no idea what he's going to make you do. He's always digging deeper and flipping it over and looking at it from another angle and terrifying you as an actor. And I spent a lot of my time on Buffy terrorized by the scripts, because they were asking me to dig into different parts of myself that I wasn't really comfortable sharing yet. But I've come to realize that as an artist and in life, I'm probably growing when I'm out of my comfort zone. And he kept me out of my comfort zone. So yeah.
Another question over here, your name?
Laura? Hi.
Laura.
Speaking of comfort zone, who's a better kisser, Sarah Michelle Gellar or John Barrowman?
You think that's to embarrass me?
That's not my question.
No, I'm just kidding. Do you want the answer that you want, or do you want the truth?
Truth.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah. My real question is...
This is the thing, we'll get to your question, but first me. So, like, let's see, how do you say? TV is fake, and the more glamorous the image, the more fake it is. Like, the word glamour means illusion. So when you flip it through a magazine and it's a really glamorous image, that is the furthest divorced from real life that you can get. And what that means is it takes more work to make that lie. So like if you're looking at a perfume ad, you're like, God, I wish I looked like that. She doesn't look like that. Nobody looks like that. So when you're doing a romantic scene, it's actually a very technical thing to do. And it's like more work that day. The best example is like when I'm doing an overshot and the camera's over my shoulder and we're actually photographing the other person's face, my job is don't get in the light of the person that we're actually interested in right now. And there's a way to act. There's a whole technical process that you're not corrupting that shot. The closer you get to the other person, the harder it is to keep out of their light. So when you're kissing them, it's amazingly exact. So this is what, kissing Buffy, this is what's kissing Buffy. And action. Oh, Buffy, I love you so much. Cut! James, did you see the shadow on Sarah's left eye? Gotta keep out of that. Oh, okay. Back out. Okay, now tilt your head to the right. Too much. Go back. That's it. Now keep that position. Now start again. Oh, Buffy, I love you so much. Cut! James. The first time Sarah and I kissed, we had 14 takes because I was acting. And Sarah kept saying, James, we're so impressed that you're an actor, really, but right now be a robot. We're never gonna get home if you keep acting so much. So just come in simply and kiss me, that's it. And finally I got it and I came in simply. And the shot is very romantic and very glamorous, but that's not because of the way I'm kissing her. It's because of the music and the lighting and all of that. So, I don't know, man. I can tell you the first time I kissed John Barrowman, I bit him. Like, he was all worried I'd be uncomfortable kissing a dude. And I bit him on the first take. He's like, you bit me. I'm like, I haven't seen you for 300 years, man. Come on.
My real question though is, I was so excited to see you on Torchwood and part of the Doctor Who universe. What kind of trouble do you think those time agents could give the new Doctor?
Oh man, I would love to mess with the new Doctor. I asked Russell T Davies, who rebooted Who and who did Torchwood, if I could come over on Who, and he said, no way. I was like, well, I'm easy to work with. And he said, James, you are way too naughty for Who. Captain John, there are kids watching Who. Like, Torchwood is for the adults, but Who is for the whole family, so no. And I was like, well, just write me a little less naughty. He's like, no, that wouldn't be the character. So, apparently I'm never coming on Who.
Another question at the back here, James, your name?
Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi. We met earlier. My question is from, I guess, a parent to a parent. You met my tiny little human earlier. She was very adorable. She's only 2. And...
Oh, Kira.
Yeah.
Oh, Kira rocks. Kira absolutely rocks. Yeah.
Someday I want to show her Buffy, and I want her to see, the show. And I saw it for the first time when I was 14. So I'm kind of wondering, at what point, do you think is a good age to introduce a child? Because I've kind of been going back and forth. There's some really great stuff, but then there's also the scene where you and Sarah bring the house down, literally. So, I mean, what do you think, as a parent, would be a good age to introduce a child to the show?
There's a couple answers to that. I think the beginning of the show, where'd you go? Oh. So the theme of the show is, how do you cross over adolescence into adulthood? How do you get to the point of your life where you're starting to see the world and your parents clearly, and you realize that your parents are not the infallible gods that you wanted them to be in childhood? How do you realize that teachers who are teaching you don't necessarily understand the subject matter very well? How do you understand? Sorry, I know you're a teacher. How do you understand that the wider world is really messed up? How do you not give up on yourself in the face of that? And how do you not give up on the world in a lifetime? How do you get to adulthood as someone who wants to go out and help other people and make change? And I think that the first time that happens for most people is about 10 years old, when you find out there's no Santa Claus, because that's the first big lie that is exposed. I'm an inveterate liar, by the way. You cannot trust someone from Hollywood. That's the first thing. Of course there's a Santa Claus. God. I was trying to get a laugh there. It didn't really work. Anyway. It's like worse than cussing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so I think about 10 years old you start waking up to those truths. I think by 12 you're fully going, oh my God. So right in there, for everything up until season 6. And then I think that maybe you want to wait until they're 16, 17.
Another question at the back, your name?
Hi, I'm Leo.
Hey, Leo.
I was just wondering, what was your first impression of Spike?
My first impression of Spike. I'm gonna kill this role. I am born for this role. I am a punk rocker. I'm like a original punk rocker from the 70s. I saw the Clash play. I was in a punk band in high school. And they wanted me to play I produced subversive theater in Chicago and Seattle, where you're trying to make art that makes people uncomfortable because you're trying to divest the audience of lies that we get taught, and we're not even aware we're getting taught them. The example of these lies: violence works, old people are boring, you can buy yourself identity, stuff like that. Let's see, evil is cool is another one. They wanted me to play. I was like, I'm right in there, man. I'm gonna kill it. I was ready for it. I was like, wow, I would not have been ready for this role 2 years ago, because this is a mass murderer who is having a blast. And acting is all about admitting to myself that I'm like this character, finding the parts in myself that are the same as the character, and then kind of playing on those parts of myself. So I'm not lying to the audience, I'm actually exposing myself, my little dark corners that I don't admit to all the time. And I had just finished doing a Macbeth where I played a warrior who just eviscerates people at work all day, and he sleeps just fine. He's fine. And I had to admit to myself that that could be me in the right circumstances. So I was kind of already there. Yeah, man, it was just like a birthday cake, like eating birthday cake every day, every meal. I can't describe it. It was just one of those things where I wasn't afraid of the role. I wasn't like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this or anything. I was just like, let me on. And I loved being the character that was giving Sarah a hard time. Because I came from Hollywood, and I was like, I told my agent, I don't care what role I do. I don't respect you people down here. I come from theater. You people in Hollywood. So I was like, hi, Miss Hollywood. How you doing? Call action. Because I want to give you a headache. And then I found out later she was a cool person, and I was embarrassed. So yeah, I just ate it up. Yeah.
Okay, your name and your question.
Hi, my name's Sarah. Thank you for coming to my hometown's Comic-Con. I've got a quick question and a real question. You mentioned Star Trek. Favorite series?
Original.
Okay.
The writing was better on the original. The acting was better on Next Generation. We all can admit that.
Yeah.
But the writing on the original had the strongest theme, which was exploring how do you make a society that works. And you do that by embracing tolerance and diversity. You do that through humility and not embracing empire.
Yeah.
The Federation was not an empire. It was very important. They had the prime directive, and if they came across a civilization that was not spacefaring yet, they didn't go take them over like an empire would. They left them alone until they were ready to vote about whether they wanted to come into this Federation thing or not. And it goes on and on and on. So that, and every week was exploring a different wonderful theme. Like one of my favorite episodes was where, you know, like there's one guy who's black on the right side and white on the left side, and he's chasing some dude who looks exactly the same, and you don't realize until later, like, why do you hate each other much? And he's like, it's obvious. Lem is left. Is black on the left side. I'm white on the left side. That's all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I grew up for my generation, with next generation for my age, but it's certainly something that the original was really good.
Yeah, but the acting on Next Generation was
like Patrick Stewart is just amazing.
And the writing was still really good. It just, for me, wasn't quite as subversive. It wasn't talking about things that were, you could argue about it, but in art you can make that point in a really deft way. So.
Okay, real question. Going back to Spike, what is one storyline or what is one arc that didn't happen that you would have liked to explore? Because you said that endless could go on for Spike. Is there a particular area that you would have liked him to go in, or a particular story that didn't happen?
Yeah, you know, I'm not going to be a better writer than Joss and the writers that they... So I didn't spend a lot of time, but what I will say is, Joss called me up and wanted to do a TV movie based on Spike. And he said, do you have anything that you always wanted to do? And I said, well, you know what I always wished for on Buffy, Joss? He said, what? He said, I always wanted a verb on the call sheet. And he's like, what? I was like, you know, on the call sheet, it always says one sentence about what the scene is that we're filming. Like, Giles finds the cup. Xander hides from Buffy. And there's a verb there, so you know what you're doing that day. And for actors, it's really important to be in action. What am I trying to do? I'm getting from A to B. I'm hiding from Buffy. That's my thing. So, Joss used to come up to me once a year, and he would go to my trailer and say, James, I have no idea what to do with you this year. I've got a plan for the whole season. I know how all of the characters fit into that plan. I got nothing for Spike. And this happened every year. And I would say every time, well, figure it out. You're going to pay me anyway. But a lot of the times, you know, Spike was just kind of there. Like, he didn't really have a plan. You know, like, a lot of times I'm standing in Buffy's house listening to everybody, and I'm like, why did I walk in the room? Why did I come here? And I'd have to make it up. I'd be like, well, I came to kill Xander, but I changed my mind. You know? So I told Joss, I would like to be active. I would like to have a plan and then go out of my house and get it. Or not, but I would want to do something. And I told him, I have an idea. He said, what is it? I said, okay. So, being that he's never really had a plan, he shouldn't get anything very big. So, the problem with Spike was always that we don't retread Angel. Once he gets a soul, how do you make a Spike journey that is different than Angel? So my thought was, if Angel is an epic character, and he's always in a mansion, sipping port wine, and there's a big fireplace, he's like, what do I do with this soul of mine? I don't know what I should do today with this soul, it's so difficult. It should be opposite for Spike. So Spike should be homeless, and he should be starving to death, because he can't kill anybody for lunch, and he can't steal any place. He can't do anything bad anymore, because his conscience won't allow it. So he should be really having a hard time figuring out how to survive in this world as a person. And it should not be going well. And he should, through the story, his like boots should be falling apart. And he's getting into fights, and the soles are ripping off, and he almost losing fights because his footwear is, but he can't get a new pair of boots. So he should figure out a way to get a new pair of boots without hurting anyone and without stealing them, and that's the win at the end of the story. And he should like there should be like the bad guy of the story should be like a demon pushing a pram, and Spike's like, oh, I could beat that. I'm gonna get that. But when he attacks that demon, it unfurls to a 30-foot tall demon, and the demon just wipes the street with him, and he loses the fight. And he should like meet a girl and try to be a lover, but the girl sees, but he doesn't have the courage to tell her that he's a vampire, and she finds out in the fight as he's getting his bottom kicked, which never let your girlfriend see that one, by the way. And she dumps him cold, so he tries to be the lover, fails. Tries to be a hero, fails, but he gets a new pair of shoes. And he's like, that's a great idea. That would be cheap to film. I'm like, wrote it for you, buddy. Yeah, you're welcome.
Another one in the front row here. Your name and your question.
Hi, I'm Sabrina.
Hey, Sabrina.
Hey. I heard that your scalp would always hurt because of all the bleaching, and I studied hair, and by looking at your hair, you have a very level. And I was just curious, for it to hurt that much, you'd probably have to use like a 40 volume or higher. But did they bleach your hair like every week type thing? Because I know Polly Perrette on NCIS, she has blonde hair and her character has black, so they do a black powder on her roots if they come in. They can't do that with you. So I was just wondering how often they did it for your scalp to be that raw and injured. Really.
Every 8 days.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so the last, I don't know, for anyone who doesn't know it, when you bleach your hair, it bubbles up, and there's blisters and they pop, and so they would be pouring the bleach on top of the open wounds from the last bleaching for years.
Did your hair start to fall out?
No, the hair was fine. It's just the scalp didn't like it at all.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's all right. They paid me.
Your name and your question.
Hi, my name's Tammy. How are you?
Okay, good.
My question is, did you have any embarrassing moments on Buffy?
One. This is the weird thing. It's like do you know like what the gag reel, right? That's like it's a reel of all the funny jokes and/or embarrassing moments of the thing put together, and then they show that for the cast and crew at the wrap party every year. You can probably see these now on YouTube, I would imagine, the gag reels, right? I'm never in them. There's almost nothing of me in these reels. And I went to Joss one time at one of the rap parties. I'm like, what the heck is up, dude? What, you don't want to see me on the gag reel? Like, I'm the only one who's never in there. He's like, oh, that's easy, Jim. I can tell you why. Why, Joss? Because you're boring. I'm like, what? And he goes, James, you've worked for me for 5 years straight, and you do exactly the same thing. On cut, you do the same thing every time. You glance down to make sure you're on your mark, you go straight back to your chair, and you study your lines. However, when I say action, it's like someone released a panther onto the script. So don't change what you're doing, but you're just not gag reel material. So I don't have a lot of those goofy, weird stuff. But there was one time when I was doing off-camera work. That's when you're doing your acting thing, but they're not filming you. You're standing amongst all the lights and the camera and everything, and the other person's acting. So it was Xander and Willow in a cave watching me fight a demon in the cave. But I'm like, there's nothing cheesier than watching an actor look at a fight, but you can tell that they're not really watching anything, and they're kind of like that. So I was trying to help him out, and I was doing the whole fight, but there's no demon. I'm just whipping air, but I'm trying to give him something to actually look at and react to. The problem being is that like I'm kind of backstage, so to speak, and there's all these cables and lights, and I trip over a cable and go right through the cave wall. But I'm like not giving up, man. I jump back through the cave wall and keep going. At which point they just lost it and started laughing, and the tape was blown anyway. But that was the one funny thing. Yeah.
Your name and your question here.
Hi there, I'm Brian.
Hey, bro.
So we've talked a lot about Buffy and Torchwood. I think we should talk about The Mountain. Some of your finest work. Lillibra Hudson, Mitch Balaam.
Wow.
Do you have any good stories from that time, and why do you think that show got canceled?
I've got nothing on The Mountain, I'm sorry, oh wow. I remember he was cool. Like the guy that played my son was very cool. I can't lie, man. It would be bad to lie. I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. No one has ever asked me about The Mountain. And the reason that it got canceled is, I don't know.
Probably because no one saw it.
Maybe. That's probably it, yeah.
Okay, we got some in the front row here. Your name and your question.
Hi, my name is Sarah.
Yes, sir.
My question is, which Spike did you prefer playing? Like, evil Spike, Spike with a chip, or Spike with a soul?
Evil. Hands down evil. Like I play a nice person, like right now I'm pretending to be nice. I think being a decent human being is about not inflicting the real me on people. You know what I mean? Like it's an act of will to get up every morning and not give into the darker aspects of my personality and try to give people like the nicer version of myself day to day. But when you play a villain, you can just barf all that out. And it's really kind of freeing. It's the villain on a set, on a Hollywood set, is usually the happiest, nicest person on the set because I think they get to get it all out in front of the camera, really. Yeah, evil. It's so fun. It's so fun. When you play a hero, right? You're always like guilty about something. You're always like rushing from A to B, trying to save people, feeling guilty that you didn't save enough or not fast enough, or whatever. And it's a lot of work. It really, and it's like torture. I played a couple heroes. It sucks. And like when you're a villain, you just wait, and like in the shadows, you're lurking, right? And when you're filming, like you're doing 17 takes, so like the hero's like, do it again. Yeah. And they does it again, and you're like, I'm ready. And then the hero comes by, guilty and nothing but jump out of the shadows, smack, go home. Yeah, I'd rather be a villain than anything.
Another one in the front here.
I'm Jean, and you've done so many different types of projects. I would like to ask you, how do you pick those projects? And specifically, how did you get your role for Marvel's Runaways? Did you audition? Or
The way I pick roles is I read the script, and if I am entertained by the script, then I'm interested in doing the project. It's really like an actor is like a waiter, and the writer is like a chef, and the real magic happens in the kitchen, and really all the actor has to do is get that plate from the kitchen to the table without dropping the plate, basically. So if there's no food in the kitchen, there's nothing really going to happen anyway. So it's really all about the script. The way that I remember I was super caffeinated driving to the audition, and there happened to be traffic, so I had a long time to think about this character. Runaways is a Marvel TV show that I'm on Hulu about a group of teenagers that find that their parents are super villains. Right? It rocks, by the way. It's a really good show. And I play like the biggest jerk of all the parents. Like the other parents are mildly evil, and Victor Stein is just horrible. And he's kind of like an evil Elon Musk. He's like a billionaire, inventor, engineer guy. And so I was thinking, I devised like an improvisation. So I go into the casting director's office, we do the script, and like I scared him in the audition. He's like, "Wow, you scared me, but you didn't even raise your voice. That's very good." And then I asked him if I could do an improv, and this is the improv. And this is him, Victor, talking to his employees at work. He goes, "Guys, okay, good morning. Everybody, NASA called. They've got a problem. They want us to help us with their little problem on the Mars mission. They're fixing everything. They've got the oxygen recirculating. They can get all of the water circulating within the craft because, of course, all the food has to recirculate because they can't bring enough water and oxygen and food. They got to grow it all and recirculate it because it takes 3 months to get to Mars. We all know that. The biggest problem that they have right now is called feces. And if they don't fix this problem, we ain't going to Mars. So we need to figure out how to get the water out of that stuff. And coffee is free today. I want a good idea on my desk by tomorrow morning. If I don't have a good idea on my desk, someone is fired. So go to work. And do not come to me with heating up the feces. Any caveman can do that. So go. And I did it probably better in the audition than that. And the casting director was just like, that was awesome. Okay, great. But little did I know that the head of Marvel TV was a producer on Buffy. And I probably didn't even need to do that because when he found that I was available, he was like, "Oh, cast James. Get him." Yeah.
Another one at the back here.
Hi, it's Dakota.
Hey, Dakota.
A bit earlier.
Yeah.
I asked you quickly about the audiobooks you did for Jim Butcher, Judge and Marks. I wondered if you have any other stories or something else you can expand on in that.
Yeah, sorry, I looked over here and I missed your, what? If I was just expand on Dresden Files?
Yeah, when you did the audiobooks.
Yeah, Dresden Files are an amazing set of books. There's like 19 of them at this point, I think. Jim has promised us 24 of them, but for some reason he's stopped writing them. And so now I'm actively hoping that his other books that he's trying to write fail, so that he'll come back to us. But it's basically, it's like a combination of Humphrey Bogart, Private Eye, with Harry Potter. So he's like a wizard, but he's also a hard-boiled gumshoe private eye in a wizard world. And so he's got a really he's got a dark, world-weary, snarky sense of humor, but he's like dealing with all of this crazy world. And throughout the books, he gets more and more powerful as a wizard, but the world gets exponentially more messed up. So he's constantly in over his head. Yeah, I don't know if I told you this story, but I'll tell it again. But I'm a snarky guy, and the author is a snarky guy. And I remember stopping one book, because the word little was on every page of every book. And I read like 15 of these books, and I was getting tired of it. Because for me, little is a hard word to say in context. Little Italy. Try it. Little Italy. Try it. I bet you're going, little Italy, right? Little Italy. So little is a hard word to say quickly. And it was on every page. And I finally stopped and said, "Jim, this is a personal note for Jim Butcher from James Marsters. James Butcher, you are a wonderful writer, man. You're better than this. There's a lot of words out there. There's a lot of words, and you use little every time. Here's some other words. Minuscule, tiny, small, diminutive. There's a lot of them. Let's use them too, okay?" The next book that came out, little was on 4 to 6 times a page. It was like sometimes, often, it was in twice in a sentence. As if Jim Butcher was personally going to little Jimmy Marsters. Do your job, buddy, all right. And it's, when you read the books to yourself, it's not apparent. You don't notice it because the writing is really good. But yeah, I'm not going to complain anymore to Jim Butcher.
Hi James, my name is Joanne, and with your musical background, I just wondered how excited were you when Joss Whedon came up with the music? musical's probably one of my favorite episodes.
I, like the rest of the cast, was horrified that he wrote a musical. We all felt that he was flushing a perfectly good television show down the drain, man. It was not normal for a TV show to have a musical at that time. And the problem was that he gave us all a cassette of him singing the songs and playing them. We didn't get a script, we just got this cassette of the songs. And Joss Whedon is, as a singer, he's a really good writer. And I mean, he's not horrible, but they sounded cheesy. They just sounded like cheesy. So we all went to Joss and we begged him not to do it, and he would not be dissuaded. And it's my favorite episode because at some point, we stopped whining and we stopped trying to lobby him to get away from it. And we decided to try our best, even though we were convinced to a cast member that we would fail. And that our careers were probably over and the show was definitely going to get canceled. But in the face of that, let's go out swinging, man. And I think that the theme of Buffy is don't give up. The world can hurt, but don't give up. And I think for one short episode, we spoiled Hollywood actors, lived up to that theme. And I've never been more proud of the company that I was in than that episode.
Hello. My question is that Spike is known as evil, but then he had a chip in his head, and it forced him to be good, or at least less bad. But then he became a good character. When do you think, at what point do you think Spike became truly good and it wasn't related to the chip in his head?
Yeah, I don't think the chip was not, I was not good at that point. I was just on a leash, you know? I mean, like, I didn't really like the chip that much, to tell you the truth. Like, obviously, in the 4th season, when they made me a cast regular on the show, the obvious challenge was, how do we get Spike to stop trying to kill Buffy? Because, like, obviously he can never kill Buffy, but if he keeps trying, it's gonna get like Scooby-Doo. Oh, I did it again. I couldn't do it, right? So the better choice is to figure out a way for him to stop trying. And I thought that it would be funny for him to fall in love with Buffy. Of course, she never falls in love with him. That would be ridiculous. But he falls in love with her, and he tries to be the kind of guy that she would want. But of course, that's impossible because he's evil. So he could fail to comedic effect, or he could fail to horrific effect. But he would always fail to be that guy. And you could play that out for a long time. But instead of that, they put a chip in my head that just shocked me when I did anything bad, which was also a good idea, but I just thought mine was better. To answer your question, I think that when Spike got the soul is when he started to feel the repercussions of his choices and his actions. And he had to go through a really dark period and really face what he had done, and he went crazy. And I think that was the beginning of his journey toward the light.
We're about less than 5 minutes left here, so we only have a few more questions left here.
Hi James, Chantel from Edmonton, Alberta.
Hey.
Hey. From a Spike perspective, kill, marry, shag, Buffy, Drusilla, Willow.
Shag, shag, and shag.
We have a quick question here from Lincoln. He wants me to ask it on his behalf here. What was the worst part about playing Spike? The worst part?
There's nothing. Nothing. That was a dream job. The only thing okay, the worst part was the hair. That part hurt. That part hurt a lot. But it looked so good. So I don't even know if that was really that bad. That was the only part that wasn't amazingly fun. Was just bleaching my hair. put your hair, can you put your hair? You're just like that? Not fair.
We got another
You're
question.
naturally like that? Wow. So jealous. Okay.
We got another bleach question over here.
Actually, I want to know about Supernatural.
Yeah.
What was it like to work with them? Charisma Carpenter?
Yeah. Well, I found out that Charisma was a nice person on Supernatural. Because on Buffy, I avoided her like the plague. Because she's a really good actor, and I thought she was like Cordelia. And I was like, spoiled cheerleader. This punk rocker ain't gonna talk to you at lunch, baby. No way. And so I never really found out that she's actually a really nice person. And I remember, and plus, like, whenever we were doing a scene together, she was like fleeing. So like our chairs were on the opposite side of the set anyway. So, but like, I remember talking to her backstage of Supernatural and just going, oh, I'm so sorry. I've been judging you for so long. You're such a good person. Yeah, I always wondered why you never talked to me. Yeah, but that was a really fun show. That is the happiest set, besides the one that I'm doing now, which is just as happy as Supernatural. Those two guys, Jared and Jensen, are immune to fame. Like, fame, I think, is toxic to the human soul. And if you define yourself as being famous, like if you wake up in the morning going, hey, Mr. Famous, you're screwed. Like, it's over. And so the trick to surviving fame is to keep it at arm's length, to hang out with people who don't care about your day job, and to try to be as normal as possible. And Jared and Jensen just seem to be impervious, Teflon to it, and they're just down to earth, normal guys. They remind me of like the Beatles, you know, like just like, hey, isn't this fun? You know. And yeah, I had a great time. I was told that if they like you, they're gonna prank you, and the better. What, they pranked him? Yeah, and they liked it. That Steven's cool. And they said, and the more they like you, the worse it's gonna get. So be prepared. So I only had one scene with them, and we're doing my close-up, and Jared and Jensen are standing there. And in television, the director is in a different room. He's not watching live acting. He's watching the television screen. So he's just seeing it's just my face and nothing else. And I'm doing my whatever, I'm blah, 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 talking my close-up stuff. And I feel like a little bobbling up between my thighs, so to speak. And I'm doing my acting thing, and I glance down really quickly, and I don't remember if it was Jared or Jensen, but one of them has their shoe off. And they're just like, what are you gonna do? And I finished my close-up. And after that, we hear from the next room, the director goes, cut, print, move on. And they go, dude. And I was just like, what? And that's the shot that's in the show, actually. But yeah, they were talking about having me on as a regular. They were both like, we had a really good time together. They're like, we would love to have you come in all the time. And the problem being is that my manager gets people to pay me an astronomical amount of money, so I was too expensive for the show.
Hi, my name's Kaylee, and I just wanted to know about making music with Sullivan.
Yeah, Sullivan is my son. And it's amazing, obviously. When he was 13, I'm in a band called Ghost of the Robot. We've been all over the world, we sold lots of albums, we've done really well for ourselves, and we were playing Santa Monica, and he brought a guitar trio to warm up to do the first act. And they were 3 guitars playing all original stuff, and it was amazing. And after the show, all my bandmates came up and said, we found a new guitarist. I'm like, finally, who is he? It's your son. I'm like, okay. And they said, well, as a dad, you can veto this, because it's a weird life, but as a bandmate, you're already outvoted, so shut up, he's in. And I remember on the first album, Sullivan was kind of just did like backing tracks on guitar and just a little bit of background vocal. By the second album, he did a song, and he was starting to come to the fore, and he was really he was starting to become irreplaceable as far as the kind of stuff that he was adding to the songs. By the last album that came out a couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago, he was an equal producer with Charlie, and he has taken over the band. It's like the Sullivan Band now. But I think the last album is our best. And he's an amazing artist. He asked me if he should study music in college or something else. And I told him, the bassist for the band, Kevin McPherson, who plays with Lana Del Rey, he's in our band, but he's also like a really in-demand musician around LA. He said that at 15, Sullivan was ready to be a session musician already. And that he said, don't have him study music in college. He doesn't need to study, he's there already. Have him do something else. So I told Sullivan, I said, look, if you want to be a musician for your life, if you choose any performing arts, it's a great life, but poverty is the deal. And I made the choice, someone told me this as I was coming out of high school, and I made the choice to be a performing artist. I was an actor, and I was dirt poor. And it was a great life. And there's nothing wrong with being poor. There's nothing wrong with being a starving artist, but you have to go in with your eyes open. The only time that it sucked for me was when you were born. Like when I had to be a dad and pay for a doctor and pay for diapers and save for college and stuff, I couldn't earn the money, and that's why I came down to Hollywood. And don't look at my experience and expect that would happen to you. Like my experience is just going to Vegas and just lucking out. It was luck more than anything else. So if you want to be a musician, hats off to you. I support you all the way, as long as you're comfortable scrounging for money. But if you ever want to be a dad, or if you don't want to be really, really, really poor, you might want to go to college or something else. So at this point, he just graduated with bachelor's in political science, and he's also producing his own music, which you can get on YouTube, Sullivan Marsters, and it's just fabulous. I mean, he's off the charts good. He really is. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have one last question, James. Is that cool? One last one.
Hi, my name's Linda. I just wanted to know, who's your favorite on either Buffy or Angel? Who was your favorite guest star?
Nathan Fillion. Hands down. Yeah. He was like this super chill, awesome dude who was playing the weirdest evil guy with the weirdest evil haircut and everything, and he was so down with it. Like he didn't need to protect his image or anything. He was just having fun. He was amazing. Nathan is a great human being.
Thanks.
Yeah. Guys, I love you. You guys are awesome questions, man. We can do this all day. I'll see you at the table.